The number one is really thinking about the damage to your credibility in that defense industrial base.
Sure.
So if you get it wrong and your name is in the papers,
We're here at the MSP Expo with Ivonne Yeste. Ivonne, tell everyone about yourself and your company.
Hi team, my name is Ivonne Yeste and I am with CyNtell Solutions. What we do is provide cybersecurity services consulting primarily to the federal government or any kind of defense industrial based federal government contractors. But we also provide MSP services, and when we look at how we want to go to market, we've got to look at the total addressable market. So total addressable market, federal government, not federal government. Where do you think we want to play in this space? I'm here to learn how to do that, to consult with other MSPs who are happy to share their knowledge of how they go to market and how they win, to really understand how I can leverage our secret sauce of having these IT security practices that we do including that into an MSP business and providing that same offering with that mindset of compliance and IT assessment, but not a hardware-based business, just a consulting solution-based business, to ensure, as we like to say, that customers are doing the right things right.
So for those unfamiliar, break down what CMMC is, and then the SPOT challenge is, what does the acronym stand for? And who does it apply to? You're on the spot.
I'd have to, give me time, I'm going to hedge until I can remember what it stands for. But CMMC is a group of standards that's built off of the NIST 800-171 standard that anybody who is part of the defense industrial base that sells to the federal government and the Department of Defense must comply with. So, how do you know if you're part of the defense industrial base? That's a great question. Aren't you glad I asked?
Yes.
Aren't you glad I asked? If you make anything that is incorporated into anything that could be used by the federal government and the Department of Defense, then you are required to comply with CMMC. And if I remember, that's the compliance maturity model, but I don't remember what that other C stands for. I'll get it before the end. Cybersecurity maturity model of compliance.
Let's go with that.
It's a maturity model for cyber compliance.
There's definitely a maturity model, and cyber is one of the C's, and compliance must be the other C.
That's the other C, but I don't remember what order they go in. Regardless, there are 3 levels, and many people who provide services to the federal government and the defense industrial base aren't really sure what level they fall in or where they should comply. If you manufacture fabric that goes into uniforms, you have to comply with this. If you are a furniture manufacturer that provides furniture and gets floor plans of any federal government defense-related office, you have to comply with this. And it's kind of out of the wheelhouse. If you make toilets that go into buildings that are for the federal government, you need to comply with it. If you make rivets that go into those uniforms, you too need to comply with it.
How many hops away from the actual government organization, does this apply to?
All of them.
So if I supply to a contractor that supplies to the government, am I required to be a CMMC compliant?
It all hinges on the information that you will receive, transmit, process, or store from the federal government. So if you have any information that is related to something that is not, it doesn't even have to be classified, it's just any type of data that would include a floor plan for a federal building, for example, or any kind of secret formulas that go into any kind of products, anything that somebody who is not a friend of the United States government might find interesting, then you too need to comply.
And this is like a trickle-down requirement. Like you will know if you need to be required, this is a requirement for you, if the person that you want to sell to puts it in their request for proposal.
So if you are responding to any RFPs for the federal government or the Department of Defense, it will probably ask about your status of CMMC. If you accept task orders under any existing contracts from the Defense Industrial Base, DoD, then you need to comply with this.
Okay. So that's a great breakdown of what CMMC is. We're going to look up what the acronym is later. We're in tech. There's tons of acronyms. That's just life.
Yes.
And you're here because you have been doing CMMC and you're looking to expand outside of that.
That's correct. I'm here because I need to learn everything that there is to know about the MSP business. And where is a better place to do that than one of the largest conferences for MSPs?
It's called the MSP Expo.
That's right. And so there will be thousands of people here that are in this field. And I've been in IT for longer than you've been alive, probably.
I'm only 29 years old.
Definitely longer than you've been alive. Sigh, right?
Okay.
But I know, I've learned in this business that people are very happy to share. We like to share the knowledge that we've acquired. We like to talk about the lessons that we've learned, and we like to help each other. If nothing else, we've all learned that networking is how you create your business and how you grow your business and how you excel and how you succeed personally and professionally. So there's no better place to come and ask questions of people who are going to know and not feel threatened by what we do, because there's this much total addressable market. There's enough for all of us here. So sharing information is a great way to help everybody expand. I can share my CMMC expertise, even if I don't know what the acronym means, and other things that I may know that they might want to leverage in looking at their business as well. Yeah. So that's why I'm here.
Nice. Okay. What's your current sort of foundation of expertise is in the security advisory services.
Correct.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah, so it's IT policies, process, procedures, people, operations, and those kind of things. From gap assessments to remediation plans and execution on those remediation plans to pure consulting, pure play consulting, things like vCISO and those types of services. So anything that really isn't hardware, that focuses on IT security, and a lot of what we do is PCI compliance and PHI compliance and PII compliance and HIPAA compliance and all of those things, because if you're in business, you probably need to stick to some sort of IT security standard. And we've all learned in this industry, you can't check your own work, right? So you cannot audit your own security. Even if you are an MSP or a security consultant, once you've done work for a client, you can't audit that. So you need to work with other people that provide security services to come in and audit those types of things.
So you have that type of relationship where
we do.
Where let's say there's a client, they have an IT provider, because you're not doing the IT operations, you're doing the security advisory. So they'll have an IT provider, and you come in as part of the engagement to audit and advise on best practices.
We can. So when you're talking about auditing, you really need to take a look at, for example, if we're brought in to do a CMMC assessment or to do CMMC remediation, we can do a mock audit that will take a client through what an audit would look like, and are they compliant with all 330 check boxes that they need to check, literally 330 check boxes. We can take them up to the mock audit, but then for the final audit, they will need to engage a third-party certified audit organization.
Right.
So we can't check our own work.
That's a requirement of the whole program.
That's correct.
So that there's an unbiased review.
Correct.
Because if you could have thought of the weakness, you would have patched it already. Correct. So that's why you need a third person with a different creative mind to look for it.
Yeah, and often there can't be any formal business relationship between the entity that is doing the audit, the pre-audit and the remediation work, with the auditor. But often we all know each other, because as big as it is, it's still a small world.
Yeah.
And so when a customer's saying, well, I don't really know who my 3CPAO is or my third-party provider is, we can give them a list of people in their area that they can go and engage with directly, who then can come in and take them through the actual audit. And it works that way with every type of standard. If you're doing PCI compliance and you're doing the remediation, you have to bring in somebody else to check your work. Right? So that's what it looks like. And sometimes we're the folks that were brought in to do the checking of the work, and other times
you perform both as the advisor and the auditor.
That's correct.
Cool.
So we have the certifications.
What do you like more?
That. I like doing the work.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's fun to get in there. And the best thing about all of these compliance frameworks is that you talk to the people. So you're talking to the people to understand what are the business processes and to identify where are the gaps, where are the leaks, where is the risk, and then you advise clients on how to remediate that risk and mitigate that risk. If you're in cybersecurity at all, there's no way to stop it completely. There never has been. As fast as we may work to try to fix things, there's folks out there, and a lot more of them, who are working just as hard to find ways around every kind of fix that you can implement. So that said, that's what makes it interesting. Right? You're always learning in this field. There's always something new. Think about AI, right?
Totally.
5 years ago, it was kind of a pie in the sky, and now everybody's trying to figure out what to do.
You just tack it onto everything that you're doing. This is the CMMC AI powered.
Yes, exactly.
I'm sure someone's doing that. Sure, someone. I mean, it's probably
somebody's thinking about it, I'm sure. Yeah. But until people really trust AI, then people aren't really going to trust necessarily that AI is going to figure out whether they're CMMC compliant or not. Because the net is the weakest link is always the human element. So it takes having a conversation with people to analyze those processes and understand what data they have access to, what data is being transmitted and where it's going, and where it should wind up. So all of those things are a conversation, not just checking a box in an app.
I wish it was that easy.
Well, there are applications and things that are out there that people will use, but those applications are just to check the box. It's not thinking outside the box to ask the questions. And when you're talking, for CMMC specifically, when you're talking about the nation's defense, then that's not something that you really want to miss if you are not missing a spot. And the penalties for doing a CMMC incorrectly for the person that's submitting it that says that they're certified, it's $10,000 for every control that they are wrong about. And there are 110 controls with 3 controls underneath each one of those for 330 controls. So even if you just miss 5 or 6, the money starts piling up on what you're mistaken on. So if
and
you
is
think
that for misrepresentation or just like an accident? How do they adjudicate that?
They will likely not be super soft on folks that get it wrong, because when you're required to stick with a policy, a process, a framework, and it's not a best practice recommendation, it's a need, a legal requirement.
Right.
It's like when you're driving and you get a ticket and the cop says, "Do you know how fast you were going?" "No, officer, I'm sorry." Even if you were 5 miles over the speed limit, you're still getting that ticket because ignorance is not an excuse in the court of law.
Right.
So with CMMC or any other policy or framework that is legally required, you really don't want to be wrong. And when you look at...
Especially after you pay for all, it's a long process to become compliant. You have to hire an external consultant, likely. You probably don't have this team on staff. Plus, you have to pay for the audit. So it's both a lengthy and expensive process.
It's lengthy and it is not inexpensive. But if I take a look at the cost of being wrong, that covers the entire cost plus of having somebody come, even to do just what level of CMMC am I required to be in. So there are 3 levels. And if you're not really sure which levels you fit into, it may be worth paying a couple $1,000s to have somebody come in and help you understand what is the right level. Because if you're wrong, then it's $10,000 for every time you're wrong. And
that wouldn't come through the RFP. Like the RFP just says you need to be CMMC compliant, and then you have to decide what your compliance alignment is.
And if you misrepresent as part of an RFP, some of the consequences of not having your CMMC correct are, 1, you won't get picked for those RFPs. The number 1 is really thinking about the damage to your credibility in that defense industrial base. So if you get it wrong and your name is in the papers, what does that do to your reputation professionally, right? The brand is really important to protect. The other thing is if you get it wrong, you will not be able to accept any task orders if you have current contracts. So that means no more cash flow, no more work coming in, even if you already are on a contract. And then the inability to get new contracts and even the potential to get kicked off of a contract. So everyone who's part of the defense industrial base will really need to consider what the risk is to their business.
Right.
Because like every other part of running a business, it's a business decision.
Totally. It's
And
a carrot.
It is
You know,
a
in the
carrot.
carrot and stick analogy, this is the carrot because now you can bid on these
Well,
government
it's
contracts.
a license to hunt,
Right.
If
There
you
you go.
don't have it, then you can't go hunting for new opportunities.
Right.
And if you are hunting for opportunities and then you're down to the wire and you don't have it, you've invested a lot of time and effort in opportunities that you're not going to pursue. And procurement people often remember who wasted their time.
Totally.
So
I
you
mean,
don't
that's
want
now
to
part
be
of your sales process, especially
Yeah.
like you were talking about the reputation. This is the
Yes.
reputation. This is the most tangible reputation. The buyer doesn't want to waste their time
Correct.
going with a vendor and then at the last minute saying, oh, we can't actually buy from them. It's 4 weeks of wasted time. I filled out all these forms.
correct. And they are not, I won't say that they'll blacklist you, but mentally they
Sure,
probably
they're human
will.
beings. They're going to think,
Yeah.
well, I don't want to waste my time. I'll just go with this other person.
Correct.
Okay. All right. So when you're looking for clients, is CMMC like a laydown for you where they come to you and say, Yvonne, I need someone to help me get through the CMMC program and you're there? Or do you have to help them justify why they should be getting compliant?
It ranges all across the board. So we've had customers that come to us and say, we know that we need to have this. We're not really sure what is the path. What's that journey from I know I need to have it to I've got it? Or we help educate, and that's one of the primary things that we as an organization at CyNtell do is provide education.
Right.
Because a lot of folks are not they're not aware. They're not aware of what CMMC is. They're not aware of the impact to their business. They're not aware of the risk to their business. So our primary job, and I think part of any sales process, right, and I don't even think of it as selling, is having a conversation with a customer to provide education.
Totally.
Because if they're educated and you've helped to get them there, then if you've established trust during that process, then theoretically they would rather continue to talk to
Totally.
you about that particular topic.
That's the ladder of trust that you go from complete stranger to at the end, a
Correct.
valued client. You know, you
Yeah.
got to walk them up that step.
Well-
do you have a little lead magnet self-serve calculator thing to do the does CMMC apply to me type thing? Because that sounds like a natural lead
people are
magnet.
gonna think that I paid you to ask that question. I didn't, I swear, we just met. What we are providing, we're doing education, so LinkedIn, newsletters, and things like that provide education around these topics.
Nice.
The other thing that we're doing is on our website, and if I can throw in a little, it's CyNtell.com, CYNTELL.com. There will be a page specifically on compliance with CMMC.
Nice.
And it's broken down for non-technical people and for people that don't really understand necessarily what cybersecurity is. So
Gotta be.
it's what is CMMC? Why do I need it? Why do I care? What do all these 3 and 4 letter acronyms actually mean, including CMMC, which is one that
We'll
I
put it
did.
on the website.
Yes, it's on the website. So we are providing a way for customers who might be Googling, oh my God, CMMC, what is it? Hopefully they'll find us that way. If our SEO is right, they'll find us. So we want to provide education every way that we can. And some of that is having conversations like we're having. Others would be providing it in places where we think folks will look, like on LinkedIn or in commercial journals that are related to the defense industrial base.
Totally.
And of course on the website, which is the #1 resource for anybody looking for anything on the internet these days.
So is there a quick way that you could answer the question for them? Like if they say, I'm a furniture provider, I might sell to 3-letter acronyms, and then you can give an immediate answer saying, yes, CMMC probably applies to you. Like that, a self-assessment type thing. Is there an initial thing that you can do?
There's a 4-question self-assessment
Yeah.
on their website. When it comes to if they asked me,
Yeah.
I'm not the expert, so I would say please take our questionnaire test on the website.
Right.
But in general, if you have any contracts with the Department of Defense or supply the Department of
Yeah.
Defense in any way, you need to find out how much you need to comply. You need to comply. The question is it level 1, 2, or 3? If you sell products to a company that provides stuff to the defense industrial base, like I sell rivets to the clothing tailoring company then you likely need to comply, so you should look into it. So those are the kind of things. And the last question is, are you intending to respond to or pursue business with the Department of Defense or any of those companies that sell products to the Department of Defense that might incorporate your product? So if you answered yes or maybe, then you should find out whether you need to comply with CMMC or not.
Okay, I think that's a natural lead magnet. You have that questionnaire right
We
on the
do.
website? Beautiful. Because I can see that working in your favor and in theirs. You have to provide them with education, absolutely, because many of these business owners will think, I don't know what this acronym means. Does it apply to me? They're going to type that in. They're going to come to your website and see this great lead magnet that says, answer these 4 questions all by yourself. Don't contact sales or anything. Just answer these 4 questions. And at the end, it's a yes or no type thing. Then you spit out the answer. CMMC probably applies to you. The next question that you need to ask yourself is what level? And then that's where they can, you have your Calendly link and say, if you want one-on-one help, book 15 minutes and we'll tell you probably what level you need.
Correct.
Beautiful lead magnet.
Yes.
Sweet. That's the reveal a problem and free step one of X. Now, Yvonne, you don't know this about me, but I design lead magnets. So
I kind of figured that.
There are 3 types of lead magnets: reveal a problem, give away a free sample, and help them do step 1 for free of a multi-step process. Okay, we're out of now. So this is give away step 1 of a multi-step process because you're helping them identify that they need the rest of the process, and it's also a reveal a problem because now at the end of your lead magnet they say, oh shoot, I need an advisor because I don't know the rest of it.
Correct.
Beautiful.
Correct.
All right, Yvonne, we broke down CMMC and CyNtell. Thank you for joining the Managed Service Provider Association of America and me from Cyber Confidential, Mike, at the MSP Expo. Thanks a lot,
you,
Yvonne.
Mike. It's
Wonderful
such a
talking
pleasure.
to you.
Thank you.
Enjoyed this episode? Hit like, drop a comment, and subscribe.